This is an ideology. It's a cult. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Breakthrough Media.
Come on, man.
The crowd is never satisfied.
Oh, no.
They
No.
will keep pushing left to the end of time until we're in a communist hole. They're not going to stop. The whole idea is that they're about kindness and consideration. That's horse shit. They're about control, and they're using kindness and consideration and inclusiveness, all these things, as talking points to allow them to exercise control. This is an ideology. It's a cult. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Blind hatred of America is just as blinkered as blind love. And we Americans should really get some perspective about where we live. Watching the shit go down in Afghanistan, I was reminded lately of every conversation I've ever had with an immigrant, almost all of which, if we got to really talking, included the notion, oh, you people have no idea. All you do is bitch about and badmouth your own country, but if you knew about the country I came from, you'd stop your on your own. Liberals, as usual in this era, have now gone too far in the other direction. They under-romanticize America. They have no perspective. Last week, the Taliban murdered a comedian. His name was Nazar Mohammed, and he made up funny songs on TikTok. They forced him into a car, tortured, and then executed him. A comedian. A thing like that hits a little close to home for me.
Now, I hope Andrew and other NBA players realize it's San Francisco and New York City who's a big reason that you're being forced vaccinated against your will to the players that are. Those cities are super liberal, controlled by Democrats, and that's the policy that they're now pushing. The same people who do Black Lives Matter. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like they're lying to you. But don't take it from me. Malcolm X warned people decades ago which side of politics was the most deceitful.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling, and you take him for a
There are
friend.
many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
And I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
on the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights,
Give me
for
an example.
equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me an example.
Well, the large number of white students who have gone into the South, for example, working for SNCC and other organizations.
Not working for SNCC or other organizations, but working for the white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negroes.
Okay. Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
Marcus Garvey once said, who they also don't teach much about like Malcolm X in schools, we are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery because whilst others might free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind. That's why they get so mad at Nicki Minaj for asking questions to both sides. They're trying to trick you. All of these entertainers, all of these NBA players, they're wooed and lulled by things like Black Lives Matter. During the George Floyd riots, political organizations got hundreds of millions of dollars as those cities got worse. But thank God in New York, they're standing up against the authoritarian tyranny and mandates, which I welcome. That's a lot better than what happened last year. But these big corporations wave a rainbow flag once a year or a BLM, so you don't realize, like Malcolm X said, who it is that's truly oppressing you and taking away your freedom that your forefathers and my forefathers, in different ways, were able to spawn us in a country where we did have the right to speak freely and the right to opt out of a medical injection that we don't want. Thanks for watching. Have a beautiful day. God bless you, Andrew Wiggins. I hope for your health, wealth, and prosperity. And God bless all the people that are holding their ground. Because if they could force you to get a mask, they could force you to get a vaccine. If they could force you to get a vaccine, they could force you to do whatever they want. And that's what they're doing. The dumbest conspiracy theory I ever heard was that you're going to comply to lockdowns, forced masking, and forced vaccination to get your normal back. 15 days to slow the spread is now lasting over 15 months. Do people get it yet? I just turned on the NBA to confirm that despite the vaccine being here, people on the bench and employees are still being masked. You're laying down the groundwork and setting the precedence of what you're allowing the corporate class and the government to do to human beings on this planet that they haven't done maybe ever, and definitely in a very long time. Be smart, be wise, be brave, and don't let the fear and negativity and stress get to you. God bless you. Have a good one.
Attention. This is a police public order warning. You have previously been directed to leave. Leave now or force may be used. No further warnings will be given.
I look at freedom and I appreciate that.
Breakthrough Media.